Hello class. Today we're going to be working on something a little different. We've been working on the slope-intercept form for a while now. It has the slope there and the intercept for the y-axis right there. Now we're going to do what's called point slope. Okay, you still have a slope, still m right there, but this time you can use a point and only one point. For example, this would be the x value for that point right in here where it says x1, and where y1 is the y value for that point. So if you're given a point and a slope, you can actually write an equation. Let's take a look at how that works. We have write an equation in point slope form on a line that passes through this point and has a slope of 2. Now we've been practicing putting those into slope intercept to find the answer, but there's another method that we get to try. So what we're going to do is this is your point, and of course the first value is always your x, and the second value is always your y. Okay? So we're going to substitute them into this little formula, which you kind of have to memorize this formula. Sorry guys, something you have to memorize. So right here for the m, I plug in the 2 from your slope, and then the y value was a 3. Oops, it was a negative 3, wasn't it? So if you see that this is a negative 3 and you plug it into this formula, y minus a negative 3, you know that you have to make this a plus. That's why that says plus 3. And x minus the 4, so you just plug in the 4 and it's x minus 4. All right, now you can leave it this way if they ask you to leave it in point slope form. If they ask you to take it into slope intercept, you're going to have to use your algebra skills. Let's take a look. They allow you to leave it in point slope form for right now. We'll work on that in a little while, changing it to slope intercept. Okay, pause your video after reading this problem and see if you can plug it into the formula. Now remember the formula. You have it on your notes. You have to do y minus the y value that's in the point equals m, and the x, just write x, it's always going to be x, minus the actual x value that you have for your point, okay? All right, pause your video and go. All right, all it is substitution. You've been doing that for years. Let's take a look. That's all it is. Now, see how this was a negative 1? The negative 1, when you place it in here, changes it to a positive 1. So what you'll tend to see is when you go to write your point slope form, you'll see if you see a positive 4 for your y value, it's minus 4. If you see a negative 1 for your x value, it's plus 1. And that's all because we have minus signs in the actual formula for this. All right, let's try another one. Graph the equation, and they gave you this in point slope form. How do I know it's in point slope form? Y is not by itself, for one thing. The slope is right here. So I know my point is information is sitting right here and here. So what do I have to do? I have to notice that this should have been a negative 2 for my y value. Okay. And then I look over here and I say, oh, it says minus 3, so I write a positive 3 for my x. So this is the point that's on my line, and my slope is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and write a point at 3, negative 2, and I'm going to use a rise 2, run 3 slope. Rise 2, run 3, make another point, and then use a straight edge to create this line. All right. So just remember, it's always opposite of what you see. If it says plus 2, you write negative 2 for your y. How do you know that's the y value? Because in the formula, the y's come first, and then the x's. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. Nope. Here's one for you to try out. Please graph this equation. You'll need graph paper. Please do not try to spot this on a piece of regular paper. Pause your video and give it a try. Welcome back. Let's see what you did. Let me go ahead and move the picture. And you'll notice that we have a point that was down. Let's see, the y value was a positive 1, and the x value was a positive 2. So there's where we start. We go over 1, 2, up 1, and we would have made a point. And our slope was negative 1, so drop 1 over 1. And I could go backwards 1, up 1 to make it a negative slope, and I draw the line. All right. One more thing that we need to learn. Write an equation in point slope form of the line shown. So if they give you a line, can you come up with the equation? It crosses here at 0, 2. Now we could use slope-intercept or we could use our point slope for this, but since they're saying they want it in point slope, we're going to have to go ahead and write it in point slope. So we really don't care about that y-intercept. That's just something to review for our y-intercept questions. Now, how do we do it when we do point slope? We have a point on the line. We find any point that we can find on the line. For example, here's a point right here, and it's -1, 3. So what do? Is I use that great little formula, y minus the y1 value equals m times x minus the x1 value. So I plug in the y value, 3. Y minus 3 equals, and I check my slope, rise over run. I'm going down 1, positive 1. So that's a negative slope, a -1 slope, but we don't put the 1, do we? X minus, and the x value was a -1, so I put a positive +1 here. All right, there's my answer. Let's take a look. And notice they have the exact same answer here. How did they get this answer? They used the 0.11. They plugged in 1, plugged in the 1 here, and the negative slope there, and there's the other equation. Now you can actually see that these will both, if you use your algebra skills, like have -x, -1, distributing the negative sign, add 3 to both sides, you will get this equation. Same thing happens here. You distribute your -x, +1, add your 1 over here to get y by itself, using all your algebra skills, you get the same equation. So, are they equivalent? Yes. They just don't look equivalent right now, do they? All right, let's give it a try for one on your own. Write an equation in point slope form on the line that passes through these points. You don't have to do both points. You can do either the 2, 3 point or the 4, 4 point. Pause your video, give it a try. All right, plugging into the point slope form so you can get that. And you have these two choices. If you have this answer, that means you use the first point. If you have this answer, that's the second point. Now, if you actually change these in the slope-intercept form, they would be the exact same equation. So they're both valid equations for this. All right. Thank you for watching your video tonight, and I will see you tomorrow.